Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So in today's video, I'm going to be using the paper collection from the October kit, the Photo Play Fall Breeze. And we're going to create a really simple but very cute layout. And here is the sketch that we're going to be using. I found this off of a group on Facebook. And I just loved using sketches, so I always like sharing those with you guys. And with it being the holidays, you may find sketches helpful for you to create your projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the little extra strip off of the 12 by 12 paper. And we're going to be using this wood grain. I also took some of the gold polka dot paper, the gold foil polka dot paper that was in the kit. I cut some strips of that. And I'm just taking the vintage photo distress oxide ink to go around the edges. And as you can tell, I sped this up quite a bit, which is why it looks like I'm like going crazy with this sponge dauber or the distress tool, excuse me. It always makes me laugh sometimes. Alright, so very simple enough. We're just going to go ahead and start attaching. At first, I start out using the Tombow Mono. I forget what this one is called, but the tape runner. It wound up, I was using a lot of it up, and I wanted to save it because I like using those, especially when I'm doing cards, because it's a smaller area. Sometimes I want to, as I get low on my ATG, I try and, conserve and switch off from using the small one to the big ATG gun. But when it came to this one, because it was larger pieces, I decided to go ahead and just put the tape runner aside and grab the ATG gun. And we're just attaching the pattern paper at the top and the bottom. And this is technically the bottom, but because I don't like to zoom out too far, I just turn the page around so that way you guys can see where I'm putting the pieces that would normally be at the bottom. And I'm making sure those line up. And then I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm cutting some gold thread that I'm going to use later. I just wanted to have my two separate pieces for when I get done with my photos here. And all I'm doing is I'm gluing the photo to some of the gold vellum that came in the kit as well, and attaching that to a mat of craft cardstock. And I'm keeping the glue and the tape behind the actual photo so that way you don't see it on the vellum that's sticking out. And then once we do the same thing with the other side, I'm going to grab some fun foam and we're going to put some on the back of the photo so it gives it a little bit of dimension. So we're just finishing attaching there. And I think I cut the photos themselves down to, I want to say it was 3.5 by 5.5. And then the vellum was 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And then the mat itself is 4 by 6. So that way you get a nice even border around each one of the layers. Now I'm taking the side that doesn't have adhesive. I laid adhesive down on the mat and then place it down. And then once I have the thread laid the way I want it and figure out exactly where I'm going to put the photos, I decided to, then take off the backing of the fun foam so that way I can go ahead and lay that down. And once I take the backing off, I also add a little bit of glue so that way it has double adhesion, because sometimes, I don't know. I just always worry that the self-adhesive stuff might start to pull up over time, so I like using the glue too, so that way it's like double stick. Alright, and then once I get it laid down, we're going to go ahead and work on the title. And my title is going to be Real Life And then in some blue foam thickers that I have in my stash, I'm going to put Best Dad Ever. And I think at the very end, I decided to put a little hashtag and an exclamation mark, but you'll see that as we go here. Now, I actually have the rulers that are for thickers and using them to place them on your layouts. And I have to say, it does help. And I like how it makes it even for me. And I can see and move it around where I want to place stuff. And if you want it on a curve, there's a ruler that's a curve, so you can, make sure it goes in the right direction that you're trying to make it. So there you have the hashtag Best Dad Ever. And then I also have in my stash some wood veneers, and there's a couple of leaves, and I decided to put just 3 of them on there. And then to finish it up, because this is my dad and I don't want to add like a bunch of flowers and stuff, I decided just to leave it with a couple of leaves, and we're going to hit it with some splatter. And since I have the gold thread and the leaves have gold accents, I'm going to go ahead and start with a shimmers that I got. And I want to say this is the Gold Blitz. It's not on my desk anymore, or I moved it, so I can't tell you exactly. But I love it. And then at the end, I had a lot of that left on my brush, so I did hit all the wood veneer pieces with the brush, so that way it has a little bit of shimmer once it all dries. And then I'm going to take my Black Soot Distress Spray and splatter all around. And then I'm also going to do the same thing with the white picket fence. Excuse me. And for me, that's how I end off the project. Really, I love doing splatters. I don't know. I went through a phase where it was all about the sequins, and now it's all about the splatters. So we'll see how long this lasts. But I really do enjoy how it turns out and how it completes and, to me, finishes off the project. So here's some close-ups. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will make sure to have links to scrapbookingwithme.com down below. There's also going to be one for the Facebook pages. There's a spot for members, to share your projects that you're working on, things that you're inspired by, stuff like that. And those links are down below. And then also my coupon code, which is TT15. So if you go to scrapbookingwithme.com, you can use that at checkout and you'll get an additional 15% off. So last but not least, I will have links at the very end to previous technique videos. And if you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to leave them down below. Thank you guys and have a great day.